Chapter 66. Lost and alone, in the night without a phone. Who cares? There's no one to call. I have no one at all. It was ghostly quiet as she lay on her back out in the woods. Stunned and limp from the hit, she lay completely still. After a while, the spooky silence felt less dense. She heard birds, some rustling leaves in the wind. She also heard a whooshing sound that slowly subsided. She gently turned her head and saw a motorcycle not too far away from her. It was lying on its side. The engine had stopped, but the front wheel spun a few more turns before it stopped. Her heart rate was high, and she still felt a rush of adrenaline. How bad was it? Had she injured herself for life? For a moment, she thought that would be nice. If she was the injured one, she could be taken care of. She could get compassion instead of blame. As soon as that thought went through her mind, she noticed she could not feel her legs. Was she paralyzed? The anger she had felt before turned into an icy feeling in her stomach. She gently wiggled her feet. She let out a long sigh of relief when she noticed that she could. She also bent her knees without any problems. Then she slowly dared to sit up. That also went well. Could she have been so lucky that she was completely unharmed? She laughed out loud and tried to get up. When she used her right hand to get up, she screamed and sat back down. She took off her glove and saw the swollen and sore fingers. They didn't appear to be broken, only badly bruised. She got up with the help of the other hand and walked towards the motorcycle. It looked like a helpless beetle that had ended up on its back. "I'm sorry, old friend." She patted the tank and heard, of course, an empty, echoing sound. Then she tried to lift it up, but with her injured hand she was unable to. She straightened up and looked in both directions down the road. Everything was quiet and deserted. Finally, she put her left hand in the pocket of her jacket to take out her mobile phone. The pocket was empty. Her mobile phone was still at home. "Well done, Jenny," she muttered to herself. "You don't know where you are, you can't continue driving, and you didn't bring your phone. On top of all that, you're on a road with zero traffic. It might be hours before a car comes here." Disheartened, she sat down next to her motorcycle. It felt good to at least sit close to it. Then she was less lonely and exposed in the woods, which suddenly felt infinitely large. In any case, she was lucky it was summer. It was still both bright and warm, even though it was late in the evening. Awkwardly and slowly, since she used her left hand, she unbuttoned the chin strap. When she had taken off the helmet, she put it on a tuft of grass that bent under the unusual weight. She looked around. There was a trail in the gravel where she had gone, like a wound in the road that continued out into the ditch, and the grass where a brown muddy stripe showed where the motorcycle's tire had passed. The road was deserted and quiet in both directions. She had absolutely no idea where she was or how far away she was from any house. While sitting there, she tried to decide if she should start walking, hoping that the road would lead to some house where she could borrow a telephone. But then she realized that she would need to call Keivan or Agneta for help. Her parents were away, wouldn't come home for several days. Calling Keivan or Agneta was completely unthinkable. Just thinking about it made her angry and sad. She could possibly call Pum Pum, but she didn't feel like she knew him well enough to ask him for something like this. He would probably just wonder why she didn't call Keivan instead. Jenny shook her head as if to shake off something stuck in her hair. She hadn't thought of that yet, that no one else knew, that everyone would ask. Since she and Keivan had been together for so long, everyone expected them to be together for life. It would take several weeks before everyone found out. She would have to say it over and over again to unsuspecting friends and acquaintances. "Keivan? Oh, I don't know how he is. It's over between us." "Hurts, oh it hurts, really hurts," Lena P. sang in her head, and Jenny wished she didn't have the ridiculous habit of humming a song for every occasion. She decided not to go and look for a phone. She simply had no one to call. Instead, she just sat there in the ditch, between the motorcycle and the helmet, while she listened to the sounds of the forest. The situation was so unreal, yet blatant and clear. She had been lucky. She could have killed or seriously injured herself, but here she was, with just a painful hand. The hand didn't hurt half as much as her heart did when she thought of Keivan. Jenny rocked a little to the left and then a little to the right to avoid getting numb, but she didn't change position. She didn't feel like it. Right now, she just wanted to sit here in the middle of the forest and let her thoughts wander. She thought of the evening when the beating had taken place. She thought of how it had changed her life in one fell swoop. She thought about how it would never be the same again. Tears began to flow, and she let them. It was a quiet cry. It was no longer the desperate and inconsolable cry that had overwhelmed her when Keivan had broken up with her. It was a resigned cry from someone who knows when it's time to stop hoping, to accept that life does not turn out the way you want it to. She sat there after hour, without getting up, without lying down, only sitting by a motorcycle as the darkness slowly descended.